getting working people to realize their own economic interests. And they have a word for that, right? If you want to raise the minimum wage or if you want Medicare for all, you're a class reductionist. That's their term.
What?
Immediately they scream class reductionist.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know what it means, but if you want to fight for economic justice, you're a bad person. You're a class reductionist. And they have all kinds of lists of accusatory names they throw at people. And one of them is if you believe in economic justice, if you raise economic issues, you don't focus on the culture war, you're a class reductionist.
That is that's well, what I enjoy telling people is that when you hear people who say they're on the left in the United States and they say things like, oh, we have to organize along class lines, right? We have to organize. You'll even hear the knuckleheads at TYT say this thing. We have to organize along class lines. They have no idea what that means. And if they do, they're just blatantly lying because they do not mean what organizing along class lines means is that you organized with people in the same class, meaning whatever political stripe they come from, meaning if they're a libertarian or a socialist or a Republican or a boogaloo boy or a socialist or a communist, all those people have to come together. That's called, so it's just like when you organize in a union. I've been in unions my whole life. The way you don't organize a union is you don't go to the shop floor and go, who here's a boogaloo boy? You're out. Who here's a Proud Boy? You're out. Who's here as a libertarian gun nut? You're out. Who here's a Trump voter? You're out. Okay, who's left? Now we're going to organize against the man with you people. That's not how organizing works. It's only powerful when you get people who totally disagree with each other to agree on something. And that's when change really happens. Like when we had the Medicare for All march this summer, people were complaining that there's some right-wingers on stage. That's because Medicare for All means Medicare for all. And that's when you can actually pressure government, when you have people from all different stripes of politics combined and converging on one idea. That's how you make something happen, which is why the Black Panthers teamed up with the KKK in Las Vegas to get their welfare checks back. That's why they killed Fred Hampton. Why did they kill Fred Hampton? Because he was organizing black people? No, because Fred Hampton was organizing Southern racist whites with black people in Chicago, and they were realizing they had more in common than they had separate and different, and that's when they killed Fred Hampton. So that's the thing that they can have, and that's what people who say we have to organize along class lines, when you hear somebody at the Young Turks say we have to organize, they don't mean it for a second. They hate people who are in the different political party than they are and in the same class. They hate those people, and in fact, their business model is built on clickbait, hating those people. So would you like to comment on that?
Well, sure. And, the biggest cure in U.S. history for racism has always been the picket line. When black workers and white workers see they have a common economic interest, this breaks down the divisions. It was the CIO and in their effort to spread unions, it was that broke down the racial divisions. When the Communist Party in the 1930s was going into the auto plants and the steel mills, often they would break down historical divisions among workers and build multiracial unions. You hear about in the South when the sharecroppers were organizing, how William Z. Foster and Gus Hall would go to a town and give a speech, and how the white workers would rip up their Ku Klux Klan cards and say, my enemy isn't the black people, my enemy is the plantation owners and the capitalists and the big bankers. That is how you overcome racism, is getting people to see they have something in common, bringing people together. It's through those kinds of struggles that you can break down inequality and that people can see that they have more in common. And by creating artificial divisions ahead of time and discouraging economic struggle, you're setting the stage for the opposite. You're setting the stage for basically whipsawing the population. There's an old device they call a whipsaw, right? And it's like a two-man saw. And when one guy's pushing, the other guy's pulling. And when one guy's pulling, the other guy's pushing. That's kind of what they're doing right now in the United States. They want one section of the population to think that they can only gain at the expense of another section of the population. And then they go to the other section and say, oh, you can only gain at the expense of the other one. And we've got working people all throughout the United States pushing and pulling on each other in a culture war. And we're all getting poorer. And their agenda of creating a low-wage police state marches ahead. And we got to have class solidarity. We got to go against it. Fred Hampton is a great example of that kind of work.
Low wage police state. That is exactly what they're pushing for. Well, anyway, great work on this. BreadTube Serves Imperialism, Examining the New Brand of Internet Socialism by Caleb Maupin. It's available at Amazon and all the places where you can buy books. Do you have a website?
Sure. I'm at calebmaupin.com, but you can also check out, I work with a think tank called the Center for Political Innovation. We're at cpiusa.org. We're trying to bring people together, try to formulate an economic program to rescue the United States from the crisis we're facing. cpiusa.org. It's the Center for Political Innovation.